Swords, Thoughtseize, Inquisition, Ponder, Force of Will, Jace, and then a handful of one-ofs. Definitely pretty standard black-blue-white control deck. A lot like Tom Martell's winning deck list, without Intuition, or actually one Intuition.
Michael Cutrone. What do we got there?
Looks like Delver, Vendilion Clip, Tombstalker, Thoughtseize, a few removal spells, Stifles, Dazes, Ponders, Bolts, Brainstorms, Force of Wills.
Essentially, this is a black-blue version of Rug Delver.
Yeah.
We see the opening of this Christian Calcano Inquisition off of a fetch land. Two possible targets, the Delver and the Bolt, and a Tombstalker waiting in the wings.
Yeah, this looks like a Mulda 5 for Michael Cutrone. Unless he's hiding some cards behind that Delver there, but I don't think so. And Christian will almost certainly be taking the Delver here. His deck is pretty strong against Lightning Bolt. Doesn't care if his Stoneforge gets bolted. His Snapcaster is Jace. Not really a big deal. Lingering Souls, equally unaffected. So being able to play with Perfect Knowledge, plus effectively playing against a 4-card hand, he's in great shape right now.
Now, I saw a couple of decks that were trying to run this this style in Nashville, this Grixis Delver style. And none of them did particularly well, but there were some names that were behind them that were people that Adam Prozac recognized as good legacy people. And yeah, we got a Wasteland, wow, and
Yeah.
Christian Calcano, no land to follow up, then top decks a Polluted Delta.
And just passes. Michael Cutrone draws a second Delver of Secrets. So he, despite the Mulda 5 and the turn 1 Inquisition, is off to a pretty good start here. Especially if Calcano misses on the few land drops.
I kind of wonder if Calcano's going to do a main phase Brainstorm here, hoping to not get the brick.
Yeah. And he knows Michael does not have a Wasteland. He's drawn Volcanic Island and Delver of Secrets. I believe Calcano knows the other 3 cards. But even if he doesn't, it's pretty unlikely his opponent has a Wasteland. So Calcano fetches up a Tundra here, not too afraid. And we'll see what he does with it. He does play 2 Ponder in addition to his Brainstorms.
Oh, Brainstorm main phase, hoping to find a fetch land here.
Yep, he almost put down a Force of Will.
I think that might have been one. Let's just make sure. We'll 2 cards go back. Now, one of the reasons you might want to consider a Grixis-style deck is getting the access to both discard and your Stifle Spell Pierce kind of package, as well as Force of Will.
Right.
And what is going to happen now?
I'm guessing Michael's reasoning for switching to this deck instead of something like Rug Delver is because the black, especially the discard, it's a lot better against the Sneaky Show type combo decks.
Absolutely. We see a Flooded Strand, and Michael is passed to. Oh, is that a Spell Pierce?
Wow.
Ouch. And the Delver is now an aberration.
Yep, Insectile Aberration rules all formats here. Swinging Calcano down to 15.
That was just a wild Nicodle.
Yeah, it was.
Flying Nicodle.
Straight up 3/2 flyer for 1 mana.
No delay.
Nope.
And we see another fetch land from Calcano now.
So that Brainstorm hit a lot of great cards here. 2 fetch lands. Calcano now with all the mana he needs. The only spell he can't cast in his deck is Jace. And of course Batterskull. I imagine we'll see him tap out for Lingering Souls here if he has one, but nope, he just passes the turn.
Cutrone in for 3, chipping away at Christian Calcano's life.
Yep, 3-point chunks.
Christian Calcano's potential answers to this card, once it's in play: Swords to get rid of it, Vindicate ×1, and then you're talking about other cards like Umezawa's Jite, Lingering Souls, and the 1 Vendilion Click. We see a fetch from Calcano. That Flooded Strand being cashed in. Are we going to see a Stifle? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. He's looking through his deck right now.
Okay, and Calcano probably going to get a blue-black. Oh, no, just a pure island to protect himself from any wasteland shenanigans.
Yep, and if he's going the route of the island, I imagine he'll get another basic with this Marsh Flats.
He does have a swamp as well.
Yep, 1 plains, 1 swamp, 2 island in the deck.
Okay, and he goes for a black-bordered scrubland.
Interesting. Now, if I'm Calcano, I either get 2 basics or 2 duels. I'm not sure what hedging does in this case. So here we go, 3 mana for Calcano.
And Intuition end of
Okay.
turn. This is practically Ancestral Recall.
Yeah.
It's Ancestral for some very particular cards, but Ancestral Recall nonetheless. We're going to see Souls, Souls, Souls.
I have to imagine Souls, Souls, Souls. Not really sure what else this could get.
We have a fight over this. Spell Pierce summons a Force of Will, tossing Force of Will.
Yep, very important that he
Yeah.
gets these souls into play,
And-
especially with 2 Delvers.
Force of Will, tossing Force of Will is actually one of the underplayed ways to play Legacy. Now, the reason that's the case is 2 for 1ing yourself to stop a card adds up. And so there are times to keep that Force of Will around. Oh, he is turning that Intuition from an Ancestral into a Demonic Tutor.
Wow.
And getting Stoneforge Mystic.
Now, this is really surprising to me because he knows one of Michael's cards in hand. He knows it's a Tombstalker. That won't be coming out for a while. These Lingering Souls, theoretically, should have been able to hold the ground there. 8 flying tokens.
Well, we'll have to see where this goes. Looking at Michael Cutrone's sideboard, he does not have Dread of Night in the sideboard, something we've seen a lot of people play when this Stoneblade deck that Christian Calcano is playing was more popular.
So that goes and fetches Numazawa's Jite. And again, I'm really confused by Calcano's line here because he knows his opponent has a Lightning Bolt. So that Jite is not going to connect with anything, at least not the first time. And imagine if he just flashed back 2 Lingering Souls right here, he'd have 4 1/1 flyers.
I mean, and the thing is Michael can wait. If this flips naturally, it doesn't. He could have had go for the kill there.
Yeah, exactly. Calcano would just be dead. You know, we don't know what's in his hand, but it can't have too many cards left in it after Force of Willing.
Lightning Bolt in for 4, go to 5. Here's the Swords to Plowshares.
Okay, that's a start. Deals with 1 of the Delvers. Michael Cutrone going to go up to 23 unless he has a counterspell here.
Force of Will, tossing another Delver.
Wow, all 4 Delvers there for Michael. Calcano down to 5.
Worth noting, remember, Michael Cutrone double mulliganed to 5 here.
Yeah, he did. And got turn 1 discard spell played on him, taking away his only action.
And we see a Lingering Souls beginning the attempt to slow down this assault.
Yeah. And now if Michael flips an instant here to his Delver, Calcano's going to be in very rough shape.
That's a Brainstorm. Yikes.
Yep, Calcano needs either another Swords or something else here. He needs to connect with that Jite.
Main phase Brainstorm.
The thing is, even if this goes according to Calcano's plan, he can chump block with 1, fall to 2, break the fetch land, go to 1, equip Jite attack.
All assuming that Michael Cutrone doesn't just get a Forked Bolt here.
Right. He's still
Nope.
dead to the counterswing.
The Souls team up. Kill an insect. Go to 2. Oh, this could still turn around.
It could. Calcano is not out of this yet.
A Lingering Souls from his graveyard answers this Delver.
Yep, there that is. Michael Cutrone's hand right now, Stifle and Spell Pierce. Neither one going to be too effective right here. Now, Michael Cutrone's play of Brainstorm definitely backfired here because he doesn't have a shuffle effect, and now he just has to draw these uncastable black cards.
And Michael Cutrone, not really excited about this, but there's an Umezawa's Jite in Christian's hand.
Yeah, he has to attack.
He has to. Oh, did he just pass?
Wow.
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure I like that.
I mean, it's not fun to attack here and lose your insect, but if he does not have an answer to that Jite is going... Does he have 2 spell pierces now? I mean, he can double pierce if he's got 2 pierces.
Yep, he can double pierce. He can single pierce, tap Calcano out of the mana, assuming he doesn't have a 6th land.
And Michael Cutrone lets this fetch happen. That does mean he can continue the plan of potentially pierce.
Yep.
Christian Calcano down to 1 life.
So end of turn Snapcaster for Calcano. Michael Cutrone asks to look at the graveyard in response.
I think that this means actually then that we will see an Umezawa's Jite hit play.
Me too. Now what Michael can do, Michael can stifle the trigger and then spell pierce the Jite still. But the top card of his deck is Tombstalker. Now, see, I would prefer the stifle there. We'll see what Michael has in store for us.
Jite. He could stifle the equip. I think he needed to stifle the equip there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what
And
his
that-
plan is for this stifle.
That, I think, is it.
Okay, there we go. He can
Okay.
stifle the trigger.
Stifles the trigger.
That works, I guess.
I like stifling the equip a little bit better.
Well, as it turns out...
there's the land. Never mind.
He would have
There's
had a
the-
land.
Yeah, he had the land. So I guess I was wrong.
So now Michael about to draw this Tombstalker and
Hey.
be virtually dead to this Jite. Really unlucky for Michael that he found no fetch lands in his top however many cards, his top 15 cards or however many it was.
I think right now, based on Michael's main deck, there exist no cards that'll let him win. The only path he has to victory is Christian Calcano colossally messing up.
No, I don't see how he can win this one. Dark Blast is a way to kill these tokens, but with the Jite already having counters on it and so many tokens
and
in
another
play,
Lingering Souls, I think it's done.
Yeah, I think so too. This Grixis Delver deck, yeah, he scoops it up. He knows he can't beat that Jite.
There we go. That's what I like to see. Going to the sideboard here. Let's see. Engineered Explosives are decent against tokens. Pyroblast is a solid card against counterspells. As well as Snapcaster, obviously. A Inquisition is not terrible when you're stopping Stoneforge Mystic and Snapcaster Mage, as well as all of the very cheap spells from Christian Calcano.
Right.
And Spell Pierce, I don't mind either.
Now, I think that we might see Michael Cutrone make the mistake of bringing in surgical extractions here because he saw an intuition from Calcano. He might be putting Calcano on multiple intuitions in his deck. In reality, Calcano only has one, but he doesn't know that. So I hope he doesn't bring them in because I don't think it'd be very good. But he might decide to. Looking over the rest of the sideboard options, for Calcano, he has Spell Pierces, Surgicals, Perishes, and then one of the following. Nihil Spellbomb, Hydroblast, Dark Blast, Inquisition, Feast and Famine, Engineered Explosives, Force of Will, Disenchant, Zealous Persecution. So, right off the bat, I have to imagine we'll see him bring in Feast and Famine. Protection from black. He hasn't seen too many black cards from Michael Cutrone's deck, but if you see a Tombstalker, you have to assume that there's some amount of black removal in there. Engineered Explosives, probably won't see that one. The last Force of Will, no. Disenchant, no. Zealous Persecution, no. Calcano doesn't have a heck of a lot. He'll probably bring in the Spell Pierces. Surgicals, probably not. Hydroblast. The only red card he saw was Lightning Bolt, and oftentimes that is the only red card in these Delver decks. Probably won't see that. Really, there's not a heck of a lot. Dark Blast. He'll bring in his one Dark Blast if he's afraid of these Delver secrets. He doesn't know Michael has Vendilion clicks, but he can probably make that assumption. We'll see that. Calcano's deck will stay much the same. Michael's deck has a lot of options. Like Adrian said, Engineer Explosives is okay, definitely nothing special. Usually it'll get 2 Lingering Souls tokens, at the most 4. But even if it gets 4, that's only trading 1 for 1. And really not that strong. We won't see any Submerges. We could see Pyroblast here. Calcano doesn't have a heck of a lot of blue cards, and the important ones in his deck aren't blue, though Michael hasn't seen Jace the Mind Sculptor yet. We should probably see some number of those, some number of Inquisitions, and I suspect he'll bring in Surgicals, even though I'm not sure it's optimal. Well, if you're just joining us, I'm Zach Hall, he's Adrian Sullivan, and we are coming to you live from round 4 of Star City Open Legacy portion in Worcester, Massachusetts. On your right is Christian Calcano, up a game. On your left is Michael Cutrone, down a game. And these players currently sideboarding for game 2 with about 25 minutes left on their clock. Maybe a little more because they got a time extension. So, with Michael on the play, who do you think is favored in game 2?
I mean, gosh. I really like a lot of the weapons that Michael brings to the table here. But the thing is that Calcano has the same weapons. That's black discard and blue counter magic.
Right.
You're really looking at the difference of Delver and Tombstalker versus Stoneforge Mystic and Snapcaster. I think Calcano has the edge here. Yeah, I think it's Calcano having the edge.
I think so too. I think the way that Lingering Souls is going to work in Legacy for a long time is that once it wins a tournament, it's going to immediately be bad because people will be playing these things like Dread of Night, people will be playing these things that hate on tokens, but once people forget about it, sort of falls out of favor. Someone like Calcano can come back and just win a tournament because it's such a powerful effect, especially with Intuition. Can just tutor up 3 of them.
Turn 1 Ponder. Is that Earthquake? Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
Hold on to your decks for dear lives.
And these stalwart veterans of Magic play just pay no heed and keep going through the Earthquake.
Calcano, Flooded Strand immediately into the graveyard. He'll go fetch up a land, possibly for a turn 1 Ponder of his own, or maybe just to play around Stifle. Well, whatever he's playing around, it's certainly not Wasteland. Does not get a basic land. Underground Sea right into play. Now, I think one really underrated thing about Legacy is getting basics. Now, obviously, Christian's Flooded Strand couldn't get a Swamp, but if he could, I would have liked to have seen that.
Some decks just totally eschew the use of basics. Rug Delver, for the most part, typically runs no basics. Very rare to see one in that deck.
Right. So Calcano sees Brainstorm, Ponder, Spell Pierce, Tombstalker, and 2 Wastelands, and see, this is exactly why. Cutrone's deck can't make use of that colorless mana from Brainstorm. If Calcano just had, say, an Island of Plains and a Swamp, he'd be in great shape. But of course, like I said, Flooded Strand can't get Swamp. So that wasn't an option this turn. So he takes the Spell Pierce, leaving Cutrone with Ponder, Brainstorm, Tombstalker, 2 Wastelands. Cutrone casts his 2nd Ponder of the game. Sees an Underground Sea and 2 other cards. Can't quite see what those are. And interesting to note, Cutrone has 2 Fork Bolt in his deck. That's a card that's been growing and growing in popularity. I would say now it's almost more common than not.
Wasteland from Cutrone knocks out the Underground. Christian Calcano replaces it with a Caracas. Another Wasteland.
So Michael,
Delver.
hoping Calcano has no more lands again.
Michael Cutrone does have the 4 Stifle 4 Wasteland package, and it works out for him. In this case, Christian Calcano does nothing. A Brainstorm from Cutrone means he should be able to set up this Delver unless he's deeply unlucky. I would have to be some crazy unlucky given how many instants and sorceries he has in his deck.
Right. And we see here, there's a Fork Bolt, there's a Pyroblast. This Delver will be flipping. And there it is.
Hey, look at that, Fork Bolt. He could have used that last game to win.
And he'll draw it. Delver transforms into Insectile Abomination, or Aberration, rather. And that guy will come in for 3, dropping the landless Calcano down to 16. The permanentless Calcano, even. There's one. He'll pass. End of turn, Michael Cutrone shuffles away his top card and puts an Underground Sea into play. And he's set up pretty well this game. Calcano's deck does not operate well on one land. Some decks do, like Rug Delver.
And look at that, Spell Pierce in hand. Should there be a Swords to Plowshares?
Yep. And it looks like Cutrone's deck is actually Mark Sun's deck from Grand Prix Nashville.
Yeah, Mark Sun being the player I was telling you about Adam Prozac pointing out as someone to watch for. Mark did not do as well as he wanted, but he did tell me a series of stories that sounded like they were pretty sad stories, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I actually misspoke. It's the Star City Open Nashville, not Grand Prix Nashville. Calcano's list changed maybe 1 card or 2 cards, but almost exactly the same. Even down to the sideboard. So Tombstalker coming out for Cutrone.
Attention Magic players, Ben Kinnison, please report.
That will leave a Brainstorm and a Spell Pierce in the graveyard.
I think I have never beaten a Tombstalker that has resolved.
It's a tough card in Legacy. It really is. 2 black mana for a 5/5. That's about on par for Legacy. That's about on par what you get for 2
Actually,
mana.
I did beat it. I just realized I beat it once with Elephant Grass, so I take that back. But that was not about the Elephant Grass more than it was about other stuff. Okay, Calcano successfully fetching a land.
You got
And
no
I say
Stifle.
successfully, no Stifle.
We'll see what he can do with it. It's like an Inquisition. And he'll see Forked Bolt, Pyroblast, and Volcanic. And he'll take the Forked Bolt. Looks like he's trying to resolve a Stoneforge Mystic.
We see 8, count 'em, 8 power out there.
Oh, wow.
Very little time for a Christian.
Cutrone draws an Inquisition. Wow, and sees a really powerful hand. Hydroblast, Inquisition, Snapcaster, Umezawa's Jite, and 2 Lingering Souls.
I'm not sure how I feel about that Hydroblast. Countering a burn spell is okay, but other than a couple of burn spells, of which there are not very many, the only other target is Pyroblast. That's a pretty narrow fight that's happening there with Calcano.
It is. It is a one of, too, and a lot of the times the limiting factor in this matchup will be your mana.
Yeah.
You'll get Wastelanded, you'll get Stifled, you'll get Spell Pierced, and what you want isn't something that costs 1 mana. A situational 1 mana card. So Cutrone takes the Jite.
In for 8, knocking Calcano to 4.
Yeah. And now, even if Calcano resolves this Lingering Souls here, he'll have to block 1 and 1. Won't even be able to block that Delver down. Basic Swamp. Lingering Souls goes into chump block duty, as it so often does. Cutrone drawing another Pyroblast.
I wouldn't mind a single block on Tombstalker and taking 3 going to 1. This gives the opportunity for the double block and the chump block on the subsequent turn.
Yeah, that definitely seems like the right block here.
There you are. Down to 1.
The problem is now that so many of Calcano's lands are now blanked because he's at 1.
Inquisition to get that Spell Pierce out of there. Pyro. No Spell Pierce around. Coast is clear for a Lingering Souls. Flashback. Oh, or something better. A Lingering Souls from the
hard
hand.
Cast. So this is going to set up a double flashback turn for Calcano. Might be trying to crawl back in this.
I don't know, but I think I saw a brainstorm there from Michael Cutrone. I'm not 100% sure about that. Here they come. Double block, chump block. It's a Tombstalker all by itself with 4 spirits waiting in the graveyard in the form of 2 Lingering Souls. And another Delver. That's... Linger?
I think it just has to be Linger now.
Oh, another Earthquake.
Luckily, Earthquake does not hit flyers.
Or players, I guess.
Or players, yeah.
Linger again.
So 4 1/1 spirits for Calcano, trying to stave off death and win this match 2-0.
He got down to 1 last game and came back.
He did. Michael Cutrone, though, just has to draw a Forked Bolt or a Lightning Bolt to end the game on the spot. So he attacks for 5. Calcano chump blocks with 1 creature. And now if he can land something like a Jace, he'll be in a commanding position. Well, at least a stable one, maybe not commanding.
He does know that Michael Cutrone has a Pyroblast.
Right. So Delver of Secrets reveals Stifle. And we'll see if Michael attacks with both creatures here, or just 1.
Again, just the 1. Was that going to be a Swords to Plowshares? Vendilion Click?
3 mana. Looks like a Vendilion Click.
We're going to see the Pyroblast come out.
And now Michael has to figure out if he wants to just walk into a Hydroblast or not. Not really sure what the right play is here. Either way, it seems like these 2 cards are going to inevitably trade.
Pyro. Hydro.
Straight out of 1997.
Right? Vendilion Click hits. He hits himself and reveals and then gets a new card.
Yeah, he would love to find his Batterskull. Yumazawa's Jite in the graveyard, so he doesn't have access to that anymore. His only source of life gain now is Batterskull. And a lot of his cards now don't work because of that 1 life. Force of Will doesn't work, Thoughtseize doesn't work, Fetchlands don't work. Calcano really, really needs a Stoneforge Mystic.
The trade. All the spirits away. Just a Delver remains.
The Delver stands alone, and Michael with another Pyroblast in hand.
Oh,
wow.
Boy. Christian Calcano falls.
I'm really surprised he didn't have anything there. If he drew a Jace at any point that game, he could have bounced the Tombstalker, had an impressive Air Force.
Yep.
But instead...
I like Michael Cutrone's restraint there. Just plugging away, content to eat 1 token after a token.
Yeah. So the players will go back to their sideboards. Michael Cutrone seems pretty happy with his three Pyroblast. I'm glad he didn't side in any Surgicals, because I don't think those would be very good.
I agree. I think it's just I mean, granted, the Lingering Souls is a card you want to get rid of. At the same time, it's a lot of effort to do that surgical extraction. Losing a card to do so, it is a big deal, particularly since you could theoretically just overwhelm the Lingering Souls with a card like your 3 Tombstalkers, and you already have natural responses like your potential. We didn't see it, but there is Engineered Explosives in Michael Cutrone's sideboard.
Right. And really, the Surgicals are only amazing against the Lingering Souls when they're Intuition form.
Yes.
And there's only 1 Intuition in the entire deck.
Now, unfortunately for these players, they don't have access to each other's deck lists yet. That won't happen until the top 8. But they don't have this perfect information that we do. So sometimes a lot of this sideboarding has to be done in guesswork. But Intuition is a card, as good as it is, that it is limited by its expensive cost. 3 is a lot of mana in Legacy.
Oh yeah, it's a real lot. It's on the upper end of what most decks can play. We see Calcano's deck plays 3 4-drops and 2 3-drops. Michael's deck, 2 3-drops, no 4-drops. And I'm a little surprised at the lack of Jace anywhere in Michael Cutrone's deck. I've always been an advocate for 1 Jace in the sideboard of these Rug Delver decks. It is tough to get to 4 mana, but in these matchups it happens a lot. You can often side it in against a deck without any wastelands.
So for Rug Delver here, you would advocate the same thing as Rug Delver?
Well, I think it's something that people often overlook. They don't even try and include these expensive cards in their decks because, you know, oh, my Rug Delver deck, it's supposed to be fast, it's supposed to kill my opponent right away.
I know I've seen a lot of people that are going down that path running Sylvan Library, which I heartily endorse. I think Sylvan Library is actually probably better than Jace in these aggressive decks.
Sylvan Library definitely also a very underrated card in Legacy. You often see 1 in a lot of decks, and when it hits play, it dominates.
I think there are a few people in the world that have played Sylvan as much as me, and I was really sad when it became apparent to me that my controlling decks needed to retire Sylvan in favor of Jace the Mind Sculptor. It was just I was sad, but at the same time I'm like, Jace!
Better than all. And it is. Jace Legacy, I've lost like 2 games ever when I've resolved a Jace. Whatever the number is, I can count it on 1 hand. So Calcano immediately mulls, maybe learning his lesson from the last few games, keeping the land light hands. So Calcano's deck, let's see how many lands it plays. 6, 8, 11. Calcano's deck plays 22 lands. A little bit, maybe even on the high end for Legacy, but this is a very mana-intensive deck.
I think that Calcano is counting his Caracas as a spell, or Caracas if you prefer. I don't subscribe to the idea that fantasy words have proper pronunciations unless Wizards of the Coast has handed them down to us.
Okay, I'm gonna pronounce it Crackus.
Caracas.
No, there's no way. Crackus.
Oh, are you from Massachusetts?
I'm from Worcester. Worcester. Grand Prix Worcester. Star City Worcester. So, Christian, pretty land-light both these games. I have to wonder if maybe his deck doesn't quite have enough land in it. But at the same time, this is something I wonder about every Legacy deck when I see it.
Well, this is one of the things that we heard, I think, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, the conversation between Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, and then a lot of Legacy players of old, citing the Hatfields as having basically kind of perfected the zoo list. And then, you know, these very successful pro players saying, well, why not run some Wastelands in there? And then rehashing a debate that has happened in Legacy for a long time.
And here we go.
Here
Speaking of Wasteland.
Land, Wasteland. Let's go to the turn 2. Land.
And is this another Wasteland?
Wasteland? No. That's sad. But, you know, I don't know the answer to that debate, but it is a worthy question.
Yeah,
Ponder on turn 1 from Michael Cutrone.
He sees Force of Will, Tombstalker, and another card. I think Michael is digging for land here. I don't see any in that hand. They could just be black-bordered fetch lands, though. There's certainly no dual lands in there.
That's fair.
Certainly no wastelands. But he keeps them, he draws them, and he passes the turn. Tundra from Calcano into Inquisition. So we're going to see what goodies Michael Cutrone has. Is that a Perish?
Forked Bolts, Perish,
What is
Spell
Perish
Pierce,
doing in there?
Brainstorm, Ponder, Surgical Extraction. Perish.
I think Michael accidentally sided in that Perish. Because there is not a green card in Calcano's deck.
Huh. I think that was a misclick on the on the submit button.
I think so too. So Calcano probably going to take a Brainstorm here. That's certainly the most powerful card, unless he's trying to protect something like an Intuition for Lingering Souls or a Stoneforge. We'll see him probably just take the Brainstorm. He could alternatively take the Forked Bolt if he's trying to protect something like a Vendilion or a Stoneforge.
Oh, okay. So there's a thing that sideboarding masters sometimes tell you. Put in all 15, take out all 15. Your opponent will never know how many cards you sideboarded in. Well, Michael Cutrone did that, and unfortunately, he whiffed on the pullout. So
I have to say, I've never seen that one before.
I have seen that one before. That is a risk of doing the shove all the 15 cards in. It's an old sideboarding trick, as old as the hills, but it does sometimes even make good players just gaff. I mean, you go through, you miss that one card, easy enough to gaff to begin with. Brainstorm gone.
Yep. Cutrone is pondering right now. Would love to find another Brainstorm to shuffle that Perish back in. Not sure what's in Calcano's hand. He hasn't given us a glimpse yet. But right now for him, this game is going according to plan. No early Delver. He has permanence, which is a plus. Hasn't always happened in this match.
And Christian putting the the Umezawa's Jite on the table.
And no other land. He says go. Oh, this is getting wastelanded. Or rather, spell pierced.
Seems like a slow spell pierce.
Right. I thought Calcano was saying go, but really, I guess he was getting asked how many cards in hand. Man, I can't get over that Perish. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, I actually that happens sometimes. You know, one of the things, it's basically the equivalent when you do the shove in your 60, your 15 into your 60. It's the equivalent of failing to de-sideboard another card like you would have. Like, You're like, I should take out Gideon in this matchup. It's not very good. And then you play and you're like, I drew the Gideon. I forgot to take out the Gideon.
It's like, oh, is my deck 62? What happened?
Oh, man.
So Delver for Michael Cutrone reveals Pyroblast. Christian down to one land, that being an underground state. And you know, like we've seen in this match, he's just really had a problem keeping lands on the table.
That's right.
Unfortunately for him, this draw featured 3 dual lands, no fetch lands, so he wasn't even able to fetch up basics. And he draws another non-land. And now it looks like Cutrone will play Tombstalker.
Tombstalker.
Pyroblast backup. So again, Calcano in a really rough spot. Not sure what he can do here. Whatever it is, it's probably going to involve some Lingering Souls chump blocking.
And that's going to be, I think, slow to the party.
Yeah.
I don't think Calcano can actually come back now.
No, not after that last miss on a land. So Calcano draws, that's a Tundra. giving him some hope there.
Upkeep? Nope, nothing on the upkeep. Oh, I don't like that. I would have liked an upkeep swords.
Yeah, definitely would have been a little tighter of a play.
Okay, he says.
Swords resolves. Michael Cutrone up to 24. Calcano down to 6.
Another Delver.
Or rather, down to 3.
Vindicate. It works.
So Calcano now teetering on the edge. Michael Cutrone's top card cannot be an instant.
Oh, it's not. Go to 2. Fork bolts for the win. Force a will from Christian Calcano. Down to 1. Wasteland, a white source.
Wow, so 3 wastelands for Michael Cutrone this game. And about 8 or 9 in the match. And yep, there's the handshake. Christian Calcano perishes. Michael Cutrone takes it 2-1.
Christian Calcano on the right there. Despite his loss, had a small smile from whatever banter Michael Cutrone threw out there.
Yep, and you know, that's gotta hurt. You Inquisition your opponent on turn 1 or turn 2. He shows you a dead card. You still lose, only having cast a few spells in the game.